Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Roland SP-505. I feel you don't really come across this one as often. It does have some really cool features though, and it shares some of the effects that the legendary 303 has. In my opinion, this seems like a crossover point where they were thinking about making like a larger MPC competitor drum machine sampler. It features a more detailed screen than its little brother, the 303, which allows us to utilize the wave editing capabilities of the machine more efficiently. It also gives us a lot more sub-menus for deeper sound editing and control. The SP-505 is bigger than the 303 obviously. It features 16 pads instead of 8 and a whole lot more control at first glance. This era of machines are notorious for using the jog wheel as a way to select data and change values. From this angle, you also see the ever-famous 3 pot controls for FX and other parameters within the machine. You'll probably also notice that mine's a little bit dusty. It's been kind of sitting on a shelf for a while. I'll be the first to admit I don't really use this thing as often as I thought I would. I broke a couple of the RCA outputs on the back, so I have to use the headphones out to record it. But I have a 303 as well, so this kind of just doesn't get used that much. I still love having it in my collection though, because it's really cool machine to look at. It's kind of like a pillar of an era, like the late 90s, early 2000s, where everything had kind of cyberdeck-like design, I guess, or like retrofuturism, to me at least. Alright, so taking a look at that front panel, our favorite thing ever, the 3.3 volt SmartMedia card. I think that's one of the real drawbacks some of these machines are searching for some of these machines. I've mentioned this in previous videos. These are increasingly difficult to find and often don't justify their price. The onboard memory has, however, been sufficient for things that I've wanted to accomplish with this machine. I think recording standard, you have 40 seconds or something like that, but you'll notice that it does have the classic like snap-in SP card protector or card slot protector, which I mean is pretty cool. At least they standardized that. I would actually love to have like a little clip-in thing that went on my MPC Live like that for the SD card. Alright, taking a look at the back of this bad boy, we have your power port, power button, foot switch control port, MIDI in and MIDI out for controlling other synths and samplers, which somebody in the comment section gave me a whole demonstration of this on the SP-303's/DR202, and it was amazing. Like, shouts out for that. Interesting additions on here are the optical and coaxial audio connections. I can't think of anything else I've seen a coaxial connection for audio input on, and I have a bunch of old stuff here, including some Mackay rack samplers, which have a bunch of weird connections on them. If anybody out there has ever used this, please shoot me a comment and fill me in, because I'm super curious how it works, if it's like stereo or just a mono channel. We also have the standard SP sampler RCA input and output. Lastly, there's a 1/4 inch mic input and 1/4 inch headphone. Pretty standard fare for this era of samplers. My RCA right is shot, so I need to rely on the headphone out to put this video together. I spent like a half an hour trying to nail down why it sounded like absolute trash going through my Chaos pad. Alright, so the top panel. Bunch of stuff here. Top left, we have volume in and out controls for our sampling source and the machine itself. We have a sampling source selection button, which gives you button access to change whatever source you're sampling from. Do like the design there where it kind of gives you like a path in red as to what you're doing, because those two big buttons right under it are the sampling and resampling buttons. While doing this research and finalizing the script, I found this Ruffian Kick video that showed a resampling trick where you can actually resample internally and record an external source at the same time. I'm going to try and link that in the description because it was really cool and some people might find it useful if they use this machine exclusively. Buttons around the screen all control wave editor and menu selections. The F buttons kind of work like the underscreen buttons on an MPC where you're making like category selections, dictating a selection into a menu or for an editing mode. So like I said, bottom of the window you can see like loop, and that'll let you set your loop if you click the F1 button when you're in the wave editor. Right hand side has a lot of stuff for navigating, so you have cursor buttons, you have your jog wheel, you also have your enter and exit buttons, which will let you confirm or back out from a choice. Bunch of other stuff on here. So once you get down to like the pad bank and the sequencer area has a transport, which is really useful because there is kind of a more advanced sequencer in here. So you can change it from song to pattern mode, you can do tap BPM up there, but you'll notice these 4 buttons that say part, and that means you can split like your sequence or your pattern into 4 different parts. So you can do like sample on 1, drums on 2, and that makes it so when you're playing it back or if you're like running it through another machine, you can drop out parts of the pattern to add a little bit more, you know, live flair, I guess. So there's your 16 pads. You'll notice that they have kind of like a keyboard layout with the 5 black pads at the top. That's because this machine has what they call pitch banks. So you can set a key for a sample and you can send it to a pitch bank, and then it will kind of pitch it. I haven't gotten it to work really well, to be honest. Not my favorite thing, but you can then take the notes you need out of the pitch bank and you can use the clipboard button. The clipboard button allows you to push a pad and then hit clipboard, and it will copy it to the clipboard button, and then you can go to an empty bank. So if you're doing like a chop bank or a pitch bank, you can then copy the chops or the pitches you need, and you can send them back to a normal user bank by putting them through the clipboard. You'll also notice down here, this is where you change your pad bank, and you have your delete and hold buttons and your external in. So as is tradition on the end of these videos, I'm going to run through some sampling on this machine, try to dodge a YouTube copyright strike, and let you guys kind of see how it works if you've never used one. Now, it's pretty standard when you're sampling new audio in. It does the same thing that every other SP does. It lights up pads, asks you to configure how you want your sampling, but instead of like a dedicated button right on the top of the machine, you have, as you can see, a sub-context menu. So you can set mono sample, you can set standard, lo-fi, long, I think is the third one. Standard, long, and lo-fi are how it goes. So check it out. As you can see here, the pitch mode kind of wonkifies some of your samples, for lack of a better word. It can either sound really good by accident or really bad on purpose, I guess. I sped up that last portion of the video because editing can take some time on this machine, but it is fun. So like when you start jamming stuff into it, you can come up with some pretty cool ideas. Like I grabbed a few different things off of my koala session I had running on my Android trash phone and ended up putting them together in this machine, and they came out pretty dope. Like sampled them in, I think, the long version. So standard, I think, is full CD quality. Long is maybe 12 bits, and lo-fi is like 6 or 8. I think long sounds pretty good on this machine. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Join our Discord. We're trying to grow that a little bit. Come join the community. It'll be fun. Also, a lot more stuff on the horizon. We've got a couple other little surprises. I'll probably make a video about those soon. Alright, later.